Good afternoon, Mr. Wanless, and welcome.
Good afternoon, DCJ. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
You have a BA, an LLB, and a diploma in maritime law, all obtained from the University of Natal.
That is correct, DCJ.
Yeah. And you joined the bar in, was it in 1990?
Correct.
After a period of about, well, a short period as a prosecutor in the NPA. Okay.
Yes, about 18 months.
Okay, so you've been at the bar since 1990.
Yes. I think that makes 33 years, if I'm not incorrect.
And in that 33 years, you've given the judiciary a lot of time to assist us.
Yes, DCJ, I have, and as much as it's been a pleasure to serve, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities as well that I've also been given. So it's been a two-way street.
Yes. When did you start acting as a judge?
DCJ, I started acting in 2012.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you've acted intermittently since?
Yes. Also from 2015 onwards.
Yeah. And in that time, you produced over 50 written judgments.
Yes, DCJ. I see that as this is an evolving process, and as one fills in that questionnaire and then time elapses, I think I've done another 20 odd or 30 in the short space of time from then till now. So that number has increased to probably in the 70s or 80s.
Yes. This is your fifth, according to my count, it's your fifth time appearing before this commission, applying for a vacancy in the Gauteng division of the High Court.
Yes, DCJ. It'll only be the fourth time that my name goes forward. But yes.
All right. But you were here in April.
Correct.
Yeah.
I was.
Can I just ask you to tell us in your own words why you should be appointed this time?
DCJ, again, I can only stand by, firstly, my track record, as it were, both my experience at the bar in 30-odd years of practice, and now the experience that I have been fortunate to accumulate on the bench in approximately 3 years, when one puts all that time together, 3 years of acting on the bench. Not only that, I think that my judicial temperament is well suited to the job. In that regard, there's never been any complaints or any detractions, but I've only enjoyed compliments and praise in that regard. And I think that, at the end of the day, is an extremely important aspect when one considers an appointment to the bench. As far as my diligence and my ability to work hard is concerned, I don't think that that's under any question. It never has been. I've produced all my judgments, the majority, 90-odd%, 4% thereof, and perhaps more within the stipulated guidelines of 3 months. And I think on top of that, DCJ, as a last aside, I think it's also the quality of those judgments which should perhaps be taken into account, and also perhaps when the JP question, I know we'll probably cover the type of work that I've done and the complexity thereof and the seriousness of those matters and the workload that I've carried for the division thus far.
Yes. And the attorneys and advocates, well, their representative bodies support your candidature. Everybody speaks highly of you.
Thank you, DCJ. Yes, I'm very grateful for that. I have read those reports, and I'm grateful for that support.
All right. Let's see if the other commissioners have any questions for you. JP Mlambo.
Thank you, DCJ. Hello, Advocate Wanless.
Good afternoon, JP.
We won't talk football today.
No, not today.
It's not a good week.
No, it's been a bad one.
Yeah. Like the DCA has said, you've acted quite extensively.
Yes, JP.
In fact, when you raised your hand to come and help is at the time when I was struggling to get Silks to come in and assist in the division, and you put up your hand. That was 2015, 2016?
2015
Yeah.
we met, JP, so it would have been, yes, from there on.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I want to thank you for that. You've been a source of assistance. And I mean, you've acted all that time here in Gauteng, but you've not been at a cost to the state regarding your accommodation. I want the commission to know that.
Yes.
Yeah, you've paid for your own accommodation throughout this whole period.
Yes, JP.
And you've acted in almost all the work areas, save for the tax court, which is a very specialized court.
Yes.
But you've done, I mean, in the...
I've done, JP, on that point, I've done various tax appeals.
Yes.
So it's not like I don't have any experience. I've sat on the full court.
Yes. Thank you. But I have no doubt that you've actually become a judge by default because of the long time you've had in acting. You've said 3 years cumulatively.
Yes.
And you think there's no issues with you in terms of your competence, your delivery of judgments, and no issues. You can do that.
Yes, JP. I don't think that there's any doubt. I think again the statistics prove it. From the work allocation, if I may just touch on that briefly, I'm sure you would. You've seen the number of weeks in the opposed motion court, in the special motion court, in the family court, which is a difficult court as well. It has unopposed, opposed, and urgent matters as well. If you add those months, those weeks together, there's a considerable amount of heavy lifting, if I can use that expression again. I've covered the urgent court with, I think, competently, and all the other courts that require running civil trials. And yes, there's never been any queries raised in respect of either late judgments or, as far as I know, the quality of those judgments.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, DCJ. I've got no further questions.
Thank you, JP. Premier, anything from you? Doesn't seem to be there.
I'm covered, DCJ. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
I'm
you.
sorry, my line is tracking.
No, we can hear you.
I'm really sorry, my line gives challenges. In the last 3 years, I've interviewed the candidate, actually the last 2 candidates, and I agree with JP that maybe this time it's an opportunity for them to be considered, and I want to add my voice on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Premier. Minister?
Thank you, DCJ. No, I'm covered, even on the fact that it has been a bad week for football. Because Chiefs and Arsenal lost. Thank you,
Oh, my goodness. Commissioner Marumachai?
Thank you very much, DCJ. Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
You will be sitting in a court where administrative law will be, or you are going to get cases that requires you to deal with administrative law to some extent. I'm not sure what exposure have you had, and the extent to which my question will be fair, but I will ask it anyway.
Yes.
How should or can, no, let me put it this way, how should organ of state go about in reviewing their own decisions? What procedure should they utilize if they are looking to review their own decisions? Like an organ of state makes a decision and it finds like there's something untoward with the decision, then they want to approach the court to review their own decision. I think the Constitutional Court has given us some guidance in the case of state information technology. I'm not expecting you to have read and deal with it. I think that might be a little bit unfair, but I'm just saying, under those circumstances, what do you think that organ of state should approach that kind of an issue?
So, just to clarify, you mean in cases in that case where the organ of state is approaching the court?
Yes.
Is that correct?
To review its own decision.
Well, I must say that that's novel to me.
Oh, okay.
I've done a lot of administrative work, a lot of administrative matters, both in Johannesburg and Pretoria. But of course, it's always the other way around. So I'm at loss. I can't give you a definite structure to that.
I accept that.
But I would submit in the broad sense, and without even having read that decision, I would submit in the broad sense that one should obviously apply the correct principles of administrative law. It should be in terms of PAJA. It should be that would be the first approach. And I think these days as well, with administrative law and constitutional law having to some degree one another and some overlap, that they would obviously have to bear those principles in mind. But I can't give you a specific.
I accept that. In fact, the Constitutional Court said, look, you cannot use PAJA, you should go the legality route. Yeah, no, thank you very much.
I see.
Thank you very much, DCJ.
Commissioner Nyambi?
Thank you, DCJ. Afternoon, Advocate Wanless SC on this side.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Commissioner.
I must also indicate and add my voice that I'm aligning myself with the Premier. So my question to you, we have had candidates in the past that come to this commission once, and then they get frustrated after leaving, we don't see them again. We are in an epitome of a candidate that shows that indeed you take this process serious and how you have conducted yourself in the past and today. A positive message that you can send to those candidates just because they appeared once and they were not recommended and then they are disillusioned, they are frustrated. That positive message that you can give to them as we are in the verge of what has been said by the Premier, as I'm aligning myself to.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, I'm indebted to you for those words, if they are kind words, and I appreciate that. Yes, I think if I may first of all answer from a personal point of view, and then perhaps if it's advice that it is, if I'm bold enough to give any advice to any other candidates, then I'll try to. But it's really along these lines, which is that certainly in my case, and if other candidates too have a need or a calling to serve, and that's where the starting point must be, then certainly yes, that's why I'm back again. And that's why I've continued to come back, and that's why other candidates too should, with respect, do the same thing, and not be downhearted or put off their track simply because they don't make it once or perhaps even twice. In addition to that, I've also one would soon gather, I think, that when one is nominated for this position of great importance, and one that must be taken seriously, and it must be a true commitment. So one must be sure that one is certain that one is going to do this for another 14 years. In my case, if I was elevated today, that's the time period that I have left to give is 14 years. One has to be sure that that's the kind of diligence and work ethic that one is going to maintain throughout that period. But again, if one has the nominations and the support and the nominees behind one, then one should never stop. And again, I can only bring it back to a personal perspective that I've been very, very grateful that I've been welcomed. I've said this before, that I've been welcomed in the Gauteng division in the first instance, and secondly that my nominators and my, if I may use the colloquial term, supporters in the football sense as well, that they being members of the staff, of the working staff at the courts, members of the profession, both attorneys and advocates who have appeared in my court, and the support also of my colleagues, being of all genders and race, who have spoken to me to carry on and not to throw in the towel, as it were. So those are the kinds of things. So if one has, and if one finds those candidates, I think that support should be given to them. And that was something that possibly I would endeavour, wherever applicable, to do.
I really, really commend you for your positive spirit. Thank you very much. Thank you, DCJ.
Thank you, Commissioner Nyambi. Commissioner Singh?
No, thank you very much, DCJ. Advocate Wanless, thank you very much.
Yes.
Perhaps if you tell us which football team you support, it could influence some of us one way or the other.
I'm afraid to do that. Yes, it's the gun. The JP and myself share a common bond in the Gunners, the Arsenal.
Okay. No further hands here. Any questions from the virtual platform?
And from us, it seems, Judicial.
All right. Well, we will end this on that note then, Mr. Wanless.
Thank you.
Thanks again
Thank you,
for not giving up on us, and I do hope I join with the others who have expressed a certain sentiment that things will hopefully go your way.
Thank you.
You're excused.
Thank you, DCJ. I'm very grateful.